How you doing? This is Coach DeCarlo. Today we're going to be talking about instant manifestation. We do this all the time. So what I want to do is give you the tools so that you can do this purposefully when you're manifesting and getting into the appropriate state to manifest the life that you desire. Again, we're going to be talking about instant manifestation. We're told, whatsoever things you desire when you pray, believe that you have received them and you will have them. Mark 11:24. Now, what does this mean to you? We talked about Jim Carrey in the past, but I want to exemplify this today because I think that this story is very relevant. When Jim Carrey, before he became a promising comedian, before he became a big name on the stage, before he became the actor we know today as Jim Carrey, he was cleaning buildings, he and his father, and he did not have the resources even to take an acting class. He did not know where the money was going to come from, but he had always desired to be a great sensation. So one day he decided that he was going to write himself a check. And he wrote himself a check for $10 million. Now, of course, Jim did not have the money in the bank. What he did was he took this scripture, whether he knew the scripture or not, but he took the principles from this scripture, whatsoever things you desire when you pray. Now, understand this. When we're talking about whatsoever covers the gamut of everything. Whatever you desire when you pray, believe that you have it. So, whatever it is that you're believing for at this moment, you must believe that you have that thing. You say, well, coach, but it's not in my life. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't matter if it's in your life. We're told that whatsoever things you desire when you pray, believe. Whatever it is that you desire right now, in order to bring about the process of instant manifestation, you must believe that you have that thing. Understand this. There are many people that will promise you that you can have whatever you want in 24 hours. Materialization doesn't happen that way. Now, manifestation does, but there's a difference between manifestation and materialization. Now, what do I mean by that? When you're manifesting the thing, you're getting into the vibration of that thing. That thing is actually being created in the spiritual realm, or what we call the quantum field. So understand that when you begin setting your attention on a thing, whatever that thing is, whatsoever that thing is, it's being materialized even as we speak. Daniel was told the moment he had begun to pray, his answer was being dispatched, but there was a delay. And we have to understand that God's delay is not his denial. Now, just because it takes physical reality a moment to catch up with what it is that you've imagined in your imagination doesn't mean that it's not being brought about. So we're told that whatsoever thing you desire when you pray. Now, understand this. Praying is not that getting down on your knees and begging God for a request. Your prayers are your thoughts, your attitudes, your feelings, your states, your emotions, whatever it is that you're giving your attention to at the moment. That's the prayer. Now, many people think that the act of begging and pleading God is the prayer, but what that prayer is praying amiss. What you're doing when you're begging, pleading God for that which you do not have in reality or which hasn't been materialized in your reality, when you begin to beg, plead God for that thing, you're saying that I don't have that thing. So what you're doing is repelling that thing from you. We're told whatever things you desire when you pray, believe. Now, believing is living as if the thing that you desired is already your reality. Jesus says, when you believe that thing, it's already being manifested, materialized in your reality. The belief is the process of the demonstration. when you begin believing a thing real for you, when you begin living from the state, when you move from imagination to occupation, when you begin living or acting as if you already have that thing is being brought about in your reality. Now, just because you've sown a seed in the ground and it doesn't immediately give harvest, doesn't mean that the seed is not growing. Likewise, with you creators, you can't begin to seed a woman, for example, with a child and think in 2 days that child's going to be born. There's a requirement of time in the material realm. So even though that thing is being manifested immediately, it's going to take a moment to materialize that thing into what we call so-called reality. Don't give up hope, because the thing that you begun to pray for by way of your thoughts, your words, your attitudes, your feelings, your states, your emotions, just because you've begun to sow that thing and begin to live it as being real because you're living from the in, it doesn't mean that it's not being materialized. It says, though the vision tarries, what is it that you've imagined? Though it tarries, wait for it, because it shall not be late, it will be on time. Understand that divine time is not always what is perceived as your time. But you have to know that it's always right on time. Now, that sounds like an oxymoron or a twist in words, but understand everything already exists in the spiritual realm or the realm of true reality. Mr. Linda will often say this: it's only new as an ideal. When it's materialized, that's the second birthing process. First is birth in your ideals. I like to say that every man is Mary awaiting Christ to conceive. Now you say, well, Coach, what does that mean? Well, understand this. We're all giving birth to something, and that birth or that offspring is our child or our Christ. So when you begin to occupy in mind the thing that you desire, you begin to live out in what we call the 3D or reality as if that thing is already currently your reality. Jesus says, listen, don't say that there's 4 months to harvest. He says that the harvest is ripe right now. Jesus saw those things that was not as though they were. That's another message for faith. It says, faith calls those things which are not as though they were. When you begin operating from a place of faith or your imagination, because this is where all conception takes place. It says, whatsoever things you desire when you pray. Believe, begin to live from that state that you have that thing, whatever that thing is, and you will, you shall, you have that thing already. It's already been received. Now understand, don't get caught up into the appearance, because the appearance says that I'm not in a loving relationship. The appearance says that I'm not at my highest level of health. Appearance says that I don't have the abundance that I seek. When you're looking at appearance, but Jesus said it this way: don't judge according to appearance. You have to judge righteously. Now, how do we judge righteously? We judge righteously by judging according to what it is that we saw in the high place. God told Moses, remember what you saw in the mountain. Remember, creators, what you saw in your imagination, that vision, that hope, that dream. Whatever that thing was, remember that, because that's going to be the thing that's outpictured into your reality. See, Jim Carrey did not see the fulfillment at the moment that he began to materialize that thing in his imagination by way of manifesting it first and foremost in his thoughts. It was only new as ideal, but when it was brought about into reality, that was the second birth. You always are creating first and foremost in your imagination. If you say that I knew that this was going to be a bad day, universe says to you, be it unto you according to your faith. I knew that I had this job. Universe says, be it unto you according to your faith. I knew that that person was going to take advantage of me. Universe says, be it unto you according to your faith. Whatever it is that you believe, whatsoever, you believe in prayer. Prayer is when you're giving your attention. Every thought is a prayer. And when you begin to understand that, it says that even the idle words or thoughts we will give an account for in the day of judgment. What is that day of judgment except the day of the materialization of the manifestation that you thought about previously and has been brought into your present as what we call reality? Now, if you want to change your future, you need only to begin to imagine something different. Mr. Linder will often use the scripture that says, what's lovely and of a good report. As you begin giving your attention to the bigger, better, more, whatever it is that you want to manifest in your world, as you give your attention to that and you begin to meditate, you begin to dance with it, you begin to co-create with it, it will, in fact, begin to give birth. Now, just because you don't see it immediately, and I realize that there are those who tell you that they can help you manifest anything in 24 hours. Well, creators, let me save you a few dollars. Manifestation doesn't work that way. Even though you're manifesting it immediately and you're getting into the state of that manifestation, the materialization has its own appointed time. Sometimes it's immediately. Sometimes it may take a few days. Sometimes it may take a few weeks, depending upon that thing that you're giving your attention to and how wholehearted you are about that manifestation. All of these things play part in the birthing process of that materialization. But if someone tells you that they can help you manifest anything, and I stress the word anything, in 24 hours, you can get into the state in less than 24 hours. You can get into the state in just a matter of moments to begin the manifestation process. But the materialization of that manifestation may take, as Neville said, a baby takes 9 months. A chicken will take just a few weeks. An elephant, maybe much longer. Whatever it is that you're attempting to materialize, understand that that thing has its own appointed time, and sometimes it can be very quick. But sometimes, depending upon where you're at and what it is that you're seeking to materialize, it can take a little bit longer. I can immediately go and materialize a sandwich by simply going upstairs and making a sandwich. Now, some of you would say, well, that's not really manifestation. That's exactly what it is. When you understand, creators, that you're materializing, manifesting all the time. But because we've gotten so accustomed to the process, we take it for granted and don't believe that what we're doing is manifesting. But understand that we're spiritual beings having a human experience. So being spiritual beings, spirit has to occupy a body, an earth suit. We call it a body. Spirit begins to see what it is that it wants to materialize whatsoever, and it seeks about using body as vehicle and other like-minded spiritual beings to materialize in this realm called reality, which is in fact the virtual reality, because as Mr. Lindo would often say, it's only new as ideal. So the second that you began to think about that thing, it was in the process of being materialized. And you go physically through the steps. Sometimes somebody will bring that to you. Sometimes you will go out and get that thing. But all of it is a form of manifestation. And when you begin to understand that I'm always manifesting, now the question is, am I happy with my manifestation? And if I'm not happy with my manifestation, what do I need to do to change my manifestation? You simply need to begin to change your thinking. It says that whatsoever things you desire, what is it that you're giving your attention to? What is it that you like to see brought in your life? What is it that you want? When you begin to want that thing, desire that thing, when you begin to occupy the state of having that thing, is it whatsoever things you desire when you pray? We understand that praying is not the verbalization of words that are coming out of our mouth, or even the thoughts that we're thinking solely, but it's also the thoughts, the words, the feelings, the states, the emotions, the attitudes. All of those things make up the body of prayer. It says, whatsoever things you desire when you pray, whatever you're giving your attention to, believe that you have received them and they will be yours, or you will have them. Creators, you're doing this morning, noon, and night. What I'm asking you to do is to become a more conscious creator, being mindful of your thoughts, your feelings, your states, your attitudes, your dispositions, your emotions, even your actions. As you begin to become more mindful, you will begin to materialize, manifest in your life those things that you desire when you pray. Don't be like those who pray amiss and complain about what it is that they do not have, or that this stuff isn't working out. Because when that's your conversation, that's also the whatsoever. And that's also at that moment the desire, even in reverse. So, what is it that you want? Begin giving your attention to that. Begin seeing that as your current reality. As you begin walking in that vibration, this is what we're taking you to. As you begin occupying that vibration, that feeling, that state, that emotion, what you're doing at that moment is becoming a magnet, drawing to yourself at that moment the thing that you seek to materialize. Now, understand the materialization can happen immediately, but understand that it can also take time. Don't be discouraged because it doesn't seem to happen overnight. It says, though the vision tarry, wait for it. And it will not be delayed. It will not be late, but it will come in its own appointed time. So a lot of times, creators, the biggest thing that we have to discover is patience. And as we begin to operate from a place of patience, what's going to happen is we're going to become conduits of the things that we seek to manifest in our lives. And then we'll begin to see the materialization of the manifestation that we occupied in our mind previously. And now they're going to become our current reality. But remember this, creators, that only you can create your perfect world. Not God or man. Only you can create your perfect world. This is Coach DeCarlo saying have a great and abundant day.